The boys are strapped in. Obviously, these aren't programmed to their individual height, weight, and all that stuff, but it's just enough for us to be able to get an idea of how much they work and whatnot, because it's still based on beats per minute. So right now, these guys are gray, which is very chilled, or cool as a cucumber, that's the term is. And then as they work, we'll get red, and I'll go around and show you guys essentially what it looks like as we monitor them. Cool? Yeah. Awesome, boys.
Okay, all right, so I'll take over from here. You met Farzad, and my name is Richard, and you've got him, I'm sure you guys know him really well. You can call us Richard, Farzad, you can call us Coach, or call us Coach Richard, Coach Farzad, Coach Ian. Don't call me hey, yo, dude, buddy, guy, etc. That's, in the end, what we're trying to get out of this session is we're trying to get a warm-up, and then we're going to give you a little physical workout, and then after that you're going to be using the ball for some technical training. And we're going to show you throughout the session how hard you're working and kind of give you a picture of those things. But in order to do that, basically I've got two expectations. One is I'm not going to talk a lot, I'm not going to coach a lot, but if and when I do, just give attention. Just look and listen and give me your attention. And the second thing that's important, especially with warming up, physical training and everything, is effort. As long as we have attention and we have effort, then we're good, and we'll get a good session out of it. And coaches, I'll be speaking to you a lot throughout this, so questions and anything, keep them in mind if you have questions. We'll try to make it flow as much as possible, and the questions and answers will come during the break. Okay? So, to start with the warm-up, it's a simple little setup where you have starting cones, and there's four of them. A red and a yellow here, and a red and a yellow there. And the colors are opposite, and that's by design. Okay? So we have only 10 here. Okay, so let's get 2 on the red, we get 3 on the yellow, and we'll work with 3 on this yellow, and 2 on this red over here. Okay? So ideally, with this setup, you might want to have even numbers. If we don't, that's fine. It's not a problem. It just means the yellow are going to get a little less rest in between each work, or more rest actually, and lose, so the reds are going to get a little bit less rest. But we'll try to manage that as best we can. 4 of you are going to work at the same time. 1, 2, 3, and 4. The ones that are in the front. And all I want you to do, and I'll take your place in that. So we're going to jog into that big cone, jog into your big cone in front of you. And just start with the jog, right? When you get there, I just want to see you make a little bit of a fake or a cut to the inside. So if you're on the red and your cut to the inside is on your left leg, and if you're on the yellow, it's on your right leg. So you make that little fade and we're just going to change direction in my head. So you jog in, slow, you make your little move, and then you kind of just a little bit faster than you did before. It's not a sprint, it's just slow and a little bit faster. And the only other thing I want to tell you is when you finish, so for example, why don't you go to that cone and demonstrate? You go to your cone neck, you go to your cone neck, and when you finish, you're just going to come around it and you're going to jog, and when you finish it, if you started red, you're going to go to yellow. If you started yellow, what do you think you're going to go? To red. So we switch. You stay on this side, you stay on that side, and you switch. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay, go back. So we'll start again. So warm up, slow, and then we'll call it medium speed up. Let's go. Let's go. In and out. Good. Yeah, as soon as you can go. In slow. In slow. A little quicker, guys. Slow down. Okay. Good time. Go fast. In slow. Good. And make sure you're switching in slow. Good. See? All the way go. Good. Yeah. Good. we'll talk a bit more about what's happening in terms of their heart rate. But keep in mind what you're seeing. Yes, it's a drill. It's not done exactly with a ball for specificity, but are you seeing some soccer-specific movement? Okay? You're seeing some things that resemble the game, but it's in a controllable, predictable way. So we'll just change what I asked you to do now. Again, the four of you, we're going to jog to that yellow jog. And now you're going to get a single move. But now we're just going to shuffle to the side. Shuffle like that. Okay? Oh, hey, the fitness coach in me is going to say, okay, I want to make sure you try to do it a little bit better. Come back. Okay? So when you move sideways, just bend your knees a little. Keep your hips moving forward. And when you move, you're going to try to take long steps. Long. Yeah. Okay. We're trying to get there relatively quickly. And you know you finish on red, and you guys finish on the yellow. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay. Go back. So in slow, up fast. Okay. Let's go. In slow. Good. Okay. Let's see. Sit down. Yeah. Bend your knees. Okay. Good. Switch lines. Yeah. Here we go. In slow. Good. In slow, fast, good. Sit down. Long step. Good. Sit. Long. Good. In slow, up. Good. As much as possible, I want to try to check and see, does it really look like they're working at the intensity that I want them to work at, okay? If not, my only choice is to try to encourage them and push them. Okay? Go. Slow. Out fast. Good. Okay. Again, finish up. So again, we're going with these little 1 minute intervals. If this was not a coaching clinic and just a session, I'd minimize the amount of time that I'm talking even more. So I'm trying to keep it at a minimum, but I just want to make sure I can explain so you guys understand what's happening. The next exercise, you jog in, again you take that little set. So now that leg you set. If it's yellow, it's going to be the right leg.
I just want to give this guy a little rest, but he's
going to move sideways. You're moving sideways like that. Now, hey, I'm also going to ask you if you can move sideways, look at your phone as you move. Can you do that? So we make our step to the inside, and you look at your phone, and you move this way, looking at your phone. Does that make sense? This distance is not very long. I think you can cover it in 2 strides. So you sit down, you cross your leg over, and you look at the phone as you do it. Got it? On we go. So, see it, step. Good. 2 strides. That's in front. Let's keep it going. Good. That's supposed to be crossing the road. Supposed to just stay on one side, right? Okay, here we go. Step. Good. Looking at your phone. Good. Draw in. Looking at your phone. Good. Doesn't have to be a sprint, just a change in speed. Can you move sideways and look here? Can you move sideways and look here? Good. See? Step back. Good. Okay, so not a coordination session, it's a warm-up, but I might want to just fix a few things about the way they're moving. So if I had to ask you, okay, is it easier for me to get from there to there just by taking long steps like that? Or do you think I need to do something like this? What do you think? Which was easier? Yes. So we're trying to cover that distance as efficiently as possible. We're not trying to stretch our hips or pull our groin or anything. So all I want is just a couple of long strides. And can you do that looking in another direction? Stay low, lengthen your stride, and look at the yellow pole. Let's see. Let's go. Sit down. Look there. Good. Look there. Good. Is it okay to back straight and do it again? Exactly. Look there. Moving. Good. But essentially the whole wall is like rubbing your good. Right?
good. Now we see that we're ready to recover.
Okay. So again, right? Some of you that are looking through, you can start to see what's happening to the heart rates, right? And we're getting basically a minute to a minute and a half of some high intensity work, but does it look a little bit specific to the movements that they have to do in soccer, right? So we've got sideways, crossover, stepping, etc. Changes of direction. And also remember soccer, one of the other things to think about is it's not just about the movements that are specific, but the activity pattern. Soccer is intermittent. You have periods of time in the game where you're standing still. You have periods of time in the game where you're moving slow, and you have periods of time where you're moving fast. So the warm-up should look like that. Training should look like that. If it doesn't, then you lose specificity, you don't improve. So we have one more little exercise and then we finish the warm-up. We're going to jog around the outside of the cone. Let's see it. Around the outside of the cone. And then come in and then go out. So we're going to do that little move quickly. The sprint out, it's going to be as fast as you can, but please, you have walls there. Be aware. Stop over the wall. Can you see it? Can I see it fast? So go in fast. And up. Yes, good. Okay, hey, so that, and I'm going to tell you, everybody, I want you to do 4. That's 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. Does it make sense? Fast. Okay, let's go. Let's go. In, out, fast. Good. Come on. In, out. Good. You cannot do it at the same time. One at a time. Let's go. Outside. 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 Yes. Out. Going back to rating of perceived exertion. I'm going to try to explain it to them now. We'll see if
Based on the intensity.
It's the same way
Get them
that I would advise you
then we
to
look
want
at
to
them going
explain
down.
it to your players. Come in. Okay. So, if I had to tell you, 0 is rest and 10 is maximum. 0 is rest, 10 is maximum. How hard was this? This time. 7. So kind of after these things. Okay, so if you want to use that RP or that rating of perceived exertion, that's the simple way just to explain it. It's from 0 to 10. 0 is rest, 10 is maximum. What I've done here though is not exactly the best way to do it in an actual training session because the first guy says 7. 7 is contagious. 7, oh yeah, 7. So how would we do it then if we were actually in a training session or a match? Would we keep them all together like this? No, you'd have to be up there. Somebody would come to me, I'd ask you, I'd take your score, and move on. Okay, so if we don't have the technology for heart rate monitors, then that simple question is going to give you a picture of the intensity. And overall, what we'll be looking for, maybe not necessarily like I've done, to ask in every single phase of the session, but we'd want it at the end. Okay, so they're warm. Another way that I can check to see that the warm-up looks good, does it look like their heart rates are going a little faster than normal? You can tell, right? You can see. Does it look like they're breathing a little faster than normal? How do you feel? A little sweat? A little bit good? So you can ask them, you can observe them, you can use that RP, and if you want to invest in the technology, you have the technology. So now, you're going to go get a quick drink, okay? Quick drink, and I'll set up my next session. It was deliberately done a little bit shorter, okay? Certainly in an actual training session, if we have the time and everything, we want to do probably a little bit more. The activity, the speed, the intensity, I thought it was quite good. They got all their soccer-specific movements and everything. It was a little short, and that's by design because this is a clinic and we have lots of stuff to do.
Just a quick question about that. So which the players get used to the sort of
the setup.
You could really build the intensity more because you know
Could. And some of the teams, when I work with them, I've been with them for a little while, as soon as they see the setup, they kind of already know. Something I would say, which I would caution all coaches, when you're setting up warm-up, be aware that it's usually not very effective if you set it up and you let them do it completely on their own. And the reason is players don't always push themselves as hard as they can. So I was very involved, I was encouraging, in order to get intensity, you want players to be set, by the time we're in this speed endurance session, you want 100% intensity. Your communication, your ability to motivate and encourage is going to have an impact on that, and I think it should be in the warm-up too. But absolutely, you can get it into a routine.
You want to know the balance and that's about how much work versus rest.
Yes, So, and keep in mind, if we're talking work to rest, right, for that warm-up, players were in groups of what? Was it 3 and 2, right? Okay. Now, of the group of 3, let's say, how many were working at one given time? 1. How many were resting?
2.
So what's the work to rest ratio? Yeah, 1 to 2. Work for 1, rest for 1, and the 2, the group of 2 was 1 to 1. So even though it was done for a short period of time, we got, some of you guys said 7 out of 10, right? Pretty high. So we got a high intensity because they weren't resting out. They weren't really standing still very much, were they? Exactly, yeah, and that's something to keep in mind, and I'll show you here with what we're doing here. The groups of players and the numbers that you use in each group, if you're doing things like that, is really going to have an impact on the intensity. So that being said, let's move on to speed endurance. Okay, 2 guys take the ball, put 1 ball on that corner there, 1 ball on this corner over here. 2 of you are going to go on the corner with the ball, and then 2. I'm sorry, no, 1 and 1. So 1 on that corner, and then I need 2 others on the other corners without the ball. And let's not play with the ball for now. I just need your attention now, remember? Yes, okay. You guys are going to work, but for now you're resting. I'm going to work with these players here. So, I'll take your place. Nothing fancy here. We don't have a ball, so our exercise, I'm going to start by sprinting there, and you're going to start by sprinting there. You that have the ball, we're going to execute a one-touch pass, meaning you're going to play into the end and play back to you and stay where you are. But I don't want you to pass until I get close to you, until I come to a complete stop. Do you understand? Don't pass until I get close to you. We'll say about this close, and we come to a complete stop. So we make this, go ahead and we make that pass. Now, back to him. Yeah, okay, now I'm going to run around that. Okay, and now, not there, back. Okay, and again. Okay, so that's the pattern. We're moving in little, short, 8 to 10 meter runs. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You understand that? Okay, you're back. Yeah. So, I'm going to tell you, you're going to work for 30 seconds. I want that work to be 100%, as fast as you can possibly go. And I'm going to say in 30 seconds, the first 10 seconds, I want you to do 3. The second 10 seconds, I want you to do 3. That's 6. And the third, maybe you're tired, you do 2. So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is how many? 8. 8 passes in 30 seconds. You understand? You guys don't pass until they get close and they stop. Got it? Are we ready? Okay, go. So, come on. You're going to have to go faster than that if you want 8. Come on. Dude, get closer to him. Get closer. Get closer. Good. That's only 3. Come on. Push. Let him get closer. Get closer. Good. Come on. How many? Are you counting? Yeah. You have 10 seconds. Push. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Go. Time. Okay. 8. That was 8. You? Fantastic. Okay. Can you do this now? You guys go on the ball. Those who are not on the ball. Don't worry, your time is fast.
Now we'll set it faster than that.
Keep in mind, coach is going to show some of the physiological responses. Do you think they were working at 100% intensity? Pretty close there, right? The only coaching point I'm going to give, I want you guys to get closer here before you pass. Close. Close. Do we get it? Okay. Play. Let's go. Come on. Yes. Let's go. Come on. Put it in the same line. Very good. Good job. You gotta get 8. Come on. Don't pass and stop. Understand? Just stop.
These guys are really good. They never had a chance to recover, right? Yeah. Like back to 0.
10 seconds. Good. Pushing. Come on. Everybody now gets a break, and we'll take 4 of you guys. And maybe, yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. 2 of you on the ball, 2 without. Okay? 2 on the ball, 2 without, right? All on the corners. The other 3 you guys haven't done, you can go right after. Okay.
Now he's back.
So, keep in mind, I might keep my coaching to a minimum. How much rest are they getting? We'll talk about that, okay? And is it in line with what the prescription is? You guys understand what to do? When you do 8, don't let them beat you, okay? Let's go. Wait. Good. It's supposed to be sprint. Come on. Pass. Good. Come on. Half minute. 2 seconds. Everybody in a straight line. Good. On you go. Come on. 5 seconds. I think you need 2 more. Push. 1 more. Time. Good. Switch. If I spend too much time coaching or talking now, the intensity is going to drop. So I'm going to try to minimize everything until everyone's gone once. Then we'll talk. Good. Play. So, 1. You gotta get 8. Run in a straight line.
Very good.
Straight line. Good. Make sure you stop before you pass. Here, on we go. Come on. Good. You're halfway there. Fix your technique. Let's go. Push. On we go. 1. Gotta run in straight lines. 5 seconds. 2 more. 1 more. Get there. Time. Okay. The 2 that were just working are going to go on the ball, and the 2 other guys are going to go off the ball. Got it? If you were just working, you're on the ball. Now. Okay. Who was the other guy that was working? Who are you? Is it you? The ball. Were you just running? The ball. Okay. Last one for you guys. You understand what to do? Don't pass on the shot, right? Okay. Wait. Come on. Let's go. Small pass. Good. Let's see how fast you can run. Come on. Straight lines. Good. Push here. Come on. Push. Very good. In straight lines. 10 more seconds. 3 more, right? On you go. 2. 1 more. Push. Time. All right. So, I want to, I know coaches come around showing, heart rate and everything, so I want to try to bring them in. Let's try to get that RPE. Okay, come in, you guys. Come in. And especially when you get through the 2 that just work, good to talk to them right away. There's 2 areas they can be. Okay, 0 to 10, 0 is rest, 10 is maximum. 9. Yeah, pretty close, right? Okay, so if we wanted this type of training to elicit that response that we want, right? We want, after 6 weeks of this, we want prolonged fatigue. It better be 9, 8, 9, 10 out of 10, right? I don't see why it wouldn't be. It's 30 seconds of sprinting, right? It's not that easy to do, okay? Let's do some math quickly, and we can try to figure out what was the work to rest ratio. This is with 10 players, by the way. Maybe if I was on a bigger field and with the full team, I'd probably have groups of 4, right? But we did it this way. And sometimes you have this issue too with your coaching. You don't always have space and everything. So, okay, the first guys that work, they work for how long? Okay, 30 seconds. And then, how many more groups of 30 seconds were there before maybe those first 2 guys could have gone again? 4. How many? Okay, so you worked, and then you had second group, the third group, the fourth group, and the fifth group. There's actually 5 groups, but the last group was only 2.
I've done myself again.
Oh, I know. Good, of course, because you're in good shape, right? And the heart rate monitor, I think, is going to show that. But without all the talking and coaching, which is what I did, I'm explaining, I gave them lots of rest, right? But if it wasn't, we had 4 times 30 seconds. How much rest is that? Hey, 2 minutes. Work for 30, rest for 2 minutes. Work to rest ratio, it's 1 to 4. 1 to 4. And if you remember from the presentation, that's exactly what we said. We wanted 1.5 to 2 minutes of recovery in between sets. And who were my first two? Was you and? Yeah, so, I mean, now again, we've been talking, they've rested a significantly longer amount of time, but do you guys think, let's say if you had to do it again, you can do it again? Yeah? Want to see them do it again? Let's see if we can get, we said 8 passes, let's try for 10. 10 means you're going to have to get 4 in the first 10 seconds. And then 3 in the next 10 seconds. You think you can do it? Yeah? Okay, let's set it up. And one other thing, again, as a fitness coach, I have to be paying attention to this stuff. What? Yeah, the same one. The same 2. Who are you? The same 2 that's the same pool. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time now looking at the way they run and trying to fix this. Here's the 2 things I want you to focus on. Number 1, you always run in a straight line. Because we're not playing baseball, we're playing soccer, so we're going to run in a straight line. We're going to make this pass in a straight line and in a straight line. That's number 1. Okay. Number 2, maybe you noticed, maybe you didn't. Where was I looking all the time? Where? At the ball, and where was I looking there? Also at the ball. So I want to see if you can make your movements. So you're only, yes, looking at one ball and then to the other ball. Here. Only looking. You don't turn your back to the ball. Does it make sense? Yeah? 10? You can get 10? You think so? Okay. Ready? Play!
Sooner.
Hey, if I wanted to always look at that ball,
expect sooner. Now we see how fast they go down. Alright, we're looking at the
ready. So for the interest of time, and maybe we don't want these guys to suffer anymore because they still have to do an hour with coaching, we're going to get the next 2 to go. And how many did you get by the way? Be honest.
I worry about the time.
What? How many did you get? 9. 9. If you guys can get 10, then they have to do push-ups, and you choose the number that they do. If you get 9, if you equal them, you all have to do push-ups, and I choose the number. And if you get 8 or less, then you guys will choose the push-ups for them. Get it? Okay, no sabotage. No sabotage. No sabotage. Good
encourage.
Okay, are we ready?
He started recovering sooner, but then he went like, he started recovering sooner, but this guy recovered quicker.
And then he caught up to him. He recovered as soon as he needed.
He started
How many? 10. Yes.
So, between push, has a better recovery than August.
I didn't tell you that whatever number you choose for them, you have to do half for yourself. So you guys have 15. Good.
So number 1 is that guy.
Not really interested in the push-ups, that's not the point of this. It's just a little thing to make it fun, to give it competition, right? Okay? Because players like competition. Even in a drill, players like competition. Okay? Again, let's take these guys out. How hard was that? What was it? It was a 10, right? So by the second rep, it's already 10, and I think, those of you that are seeing, right? The data supports that, doesn't it? It's red. It's a lot of red in there, isn't it? Yeah? Okay. They were working, yeah. Okay. So, I'll say, first of all, thank you to the players. Let's give them a few minutes of break and get some water now, okay? Coach Newton will set up and maybe any questions, please, from any of you guys.
Would you typically do twice through your group?
Okay, so in an actual session, and we'll send you the PowerPoint and all that, but keep in mind what the suggestion was, and by the way, so the question was how many repetitions would we do? Because here, we basically did 2, and I cut it short for time, so some of them only got 1. The protocol, and it's based on the literature and what's out there in terms of how many repetitions you need, how much volume you need. You can go with as little as 4. So for example, that would be 4 repetitions of 30 seconds of work with 1.5 to 2 minutes of rest. That's enough, if it's done at the right intensity, to elicit the improvements that you want. And the thing to think about here, in terms of intensity, what did I do to those players? What tactic did I use in order to try to ensure or demonstrate that we had the right intensity? What did I do? Pardon me? Competition. So absolutely I introduced competition, but how did I check that the intensity was there? Pardon me? So we checked by asking them for their rating of perceived exertion, their RPE. That is low tech, or no tech, right? So even if you don't have, the heart rate monitors are a fantastic way to do it because they're objective and they're standardized and you know exactly what you're looking at. But if you don't have that, you simply ask. And a good suggestion, can I borrow that maybe? Yeah, okay. So print out that scale. We'll send it to you in your PowerPoint so you have it, that scale from 0 to 10 on one side of your clipboard. And on the other side, you have a spreadsheet with all players' names. And head coach, assistant coaches can do this, team managers can do this. And you just take that data, and imagine that at the end of a season, maybe at the end of a few months, you've collected all this data, and now you can start to look at, okay, well, what was the average training load for my players in this session? Was it high enough? Did I get 8, 9 out of 10 or not? And then maybe you run this session 3 or 4 times, once a week or twice a week, right? Now you can say, well, what was the average across multiple sessions? And what was the average training load in all of my training sessions throughout the week? And that's, it's a really cool way to do it. The work that Farzad and I do, we do the same thing. So
in an ideal situation, say you collect data for 6 weeks, 5 days a week and whatnot. Over the 6 weeks, do you expect the numbers to go higher or lower? Higher?
Well, why?
Exactly. So you expect if they start today with 10, 10, 10, 3, next week there'll be 9, 9, 9, and then 8 for the same amount of work. You see it go down, and then you're like, okay, so that gives me an idea of their adaptation, of whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But what you don't want it to do is to keep increasing the work and not just hovering or them quitting essentially. So you want to be able to quantify it as much as you can, right? And know what you're looking for.
So let it drop then, but it can go up again?
Absolutely. So for example, doing the same 4 times, if you do the 4 reps, for example, over 6 weeks, the number should go down. But you can control it by saying, okay, so every 2 weeks I'm going to add a rep, and so you should either hover or go down at a lower rate.
Yeah, so this kind of speaks to periodization in the courses that we teach when we talk about planning this. So as an example, Coach Farzad was mentioning, you guys kind of picked up on the idea that if you kept everything the same, 4 sets, 30 seconds, 2 minutes rest, everything was the same. After a few weeks, as long as the intensity was high enough, you'd expect that the rating of perceived exertion and the heart rate and everything would start to go down. You say, okay, they've probably improved a bit, right? So if they've improved, what do you now need to do in your session? You need to Yeah, well, you need to change something to do something to raise the intensity. So there's lots of variables we could play with, even with a simple exercise. What could we do to make the intensity higher? Another couple of meters or something on each side. So now they're running one. Good, that's one. What else? There's lots of other ones, yeah? Add a fifth repetition. Now all of a sudden you're adding, 15% more volume right away. Definitely going to increase the overall load. What else? Let's say you don't want to add reps, for time, whatever. What else do you need?
What can we do with the number of players?
Yeah. Yeah, and do something to affect the work to rest ratio, right? Because I did 1 to 4. What if we made it 1 to 3? Now you've taken the rest down by 25%, right? So that's another something. Anything else? Because there's a few more, but what else? We talked about adding repetitions. We talked about decreasing the rest. We talked about increasing the space. What's an even simpler one? What if I had another 5 seconds? I mean, how tired did they look at the end of the 30 seconds? Yeah, so now, instead of 30, 35, 40, and you'll see the differences in intensity. And we would have definitely seen it, if we kept the heart rate on longer, and we would have certainly seen it with RPE as well. So it's, again, not a fancy exercise, it's nothing there, it's just a little bit of passing and running. But that exercise, when you're paying attention to intensity, and you're paying attention to the work to rest ratio and your volume, you can get really good improvements out of it.
The other things you can do as well is the actual execution of the exercise at the end. You can change. It could be headers. It could be onto your knee and pull back.
It could be a follow. The other kind of things that maybe increase the technical demand. Nothing again. It's not like I'm showing you this, or we show you these things and we say this is the way you have to do it. This is just an exercise that gives you a controlled way to get 30 seconds of high intensity work. There's a billion ways to get 30 seconds of high intensity work. This is just one.
I think as coaches, I was just going to say, as coaches, we're especially in grassroots environments like we are, we're always looking to maximise the benefit from anything we do. So if we could add in a more technical aspect to the exchange of pass ball, then we've developed a technique as well as we're developing
and that point speaks to the idea that and you will see it in the end now, right? But that just because you're training technique doesn't mean you have to forego or ignore the physical side. A good coach should be able to get everything in the same session. Again, in Ian's presentation, you talked about that, didn't you? He's doing dribbling and everything, but he's still focusing also on physical work and everything else. I know there was a question here, yeah.